We'll talk here how we align just in our base defense. So this is just kind of our day one install stuff that we have and how we adapt to formations and personnel groupings. Pretty bland with the coverage here. We'll be talking about our Tampa 2 read stuff we run and how we adapt it. If we change that to, from a 10 personnel set to an 11, a 20, 21, and so on and so forth. Let's start here by looking at 10 personnel. Again, this is just our day one install when we're installing our Tampa 2 read coverage on the backside, as well as having our lock rules off of this as we get into different personnel groupings. You can see here we are running that typical Tampa look with your middle safety. Our jack, he's going to sit at 7 to 8, and sometimes we play him a little bit further back. It kind of depends on the athleticism of the kid as far as how we teach it. We're going to play 2 read on the outside, just those hard eyes to 2. So this can turn into a cover 4 pretty quickly. If we get the double outside verticals, it's not a true trap cover 2 where that corner's going to be a hard attack the flats. We're going to play with outside leverage with our corners. We actually play him with a side alignment, so his eyes are back to number 2. Up front, our defensive line, we base out of these 4s here, as you can see. This isn't an every play thing, but just, for base alignment for you to see here, that's how we'll set it up. We can quickly get into the wide front, a tight front. Against the 10 personnel, we do like to play a little bit more of that tight front like most teams do out of this 3 high stuff against 10 personnel. But really that's totally a call that we make as defensive coaches. At linebacker, we're going to apex these guys, our Sam and our Will. They're our force fall players. So again, we get run away, and they've got to be able to fall into the box. We talk a lot about how if this ends working out, if he's in a wide type look, and we get that run away, our Sam, our Will, they have to be able to fall back in on that cutback lane. And our Mike is truly an inside-out player here. He's responsible for the inside-out triangle. Talked about it a little bit. We don't say gaps, but he ends up fitting typically B to B gap, looking for inside clear. That jack right there, he's going to look for the next clear that opens up pass responsibility for those outside linebackers. They'll be hook curl players here. If we do get a quarterback roll out here, we get some kind of pressure, he breaks contain or something, our Mike is going to be looking to cut that off. Again, no real true pass responsibility in this Tampa by our Mike because our jack has became our Tampa player. All right, now 11 personnel here. You can see here how our strength's been called. Again, we're a formation strength team, not a field boundary strength team. So we've set our Sam to this H-back type here. We're not flipping safeties. We're not flipping corners. We're just flipping our outside backers, essentially. So if our strength here is to the tight end, we'll put our end on this side, set our tackle away. And again, a lot of time that's because he's going backside B gap, so we want our bigger plugger type there to fit that B gap, if we're slanting to strength, which we do quite a bit. Now here you get your first look at our lock side versus our Tampa side. Really here what you see is just a straight man alignment by our boundary corner and our boundary safety. If this guy's not a dude on the outside, a lot of times what we'll do is we'll zone it in some capacity. We can stick our coverage. I'll talk about that in a moment. We can invert a Tampa here. But just our base day one alignment, these are our rules. If we don't have a second wide receiver, we're going to lock it. And the main reason we do that is because we feel like we can match and build good run boxes. They've got 8 players in the box, and we've got 8 players in our box to defend it. So by locking aside, that makes us feel a lot better to the run. This boundary safety is able to fit forward into the alley. So if number 2 here, this H-back, if he blocks, he's fitting forward. If he doesn't see a clear, he can fit to the outside if run's to his side. If run is away, then he can fall and become this cutback player. And our Sam can kind of sit on that backside, for any reverse type action. here our Jack, you could see that middle safety. He's cheating a little bit more to pass strength, so we would declare more of a pass strength here, being to our 2 wide receiver side. And you can see here nothing really changes. We're playing 2 read. Really pretty basic. The only difference here is our boundary corner and our boundary safety, what they've done in their lock technique. This is an example of our sticky check to the H-back tight end side versus the 2x2 11 personnel. So if we're in a 3rd and 7 plus, 3rd and 6 plus, more of a pass down type set, we might do a sticky check here. So regardless the formation and personnel, we're going to run our Tampa 2 read on both sides. We'll widen that boundary safety out just a little bit here so he can get over top of number 1 if 2 attacks the flat quick. We don't, a lot of teams out of this, they'll bring it back out. So we feel we need to have the Sam ready to rally to that. So we still need to be hard jumping that number 2 out, cheating that safety, playing that 2-to-1 read, 1 vertical, 2 out. He can easily get there by widening him a little bit. The seam seems a little bit dangerous here, widen the safety out, but don't forget that we have our Tampa player here. So, as he's dropping and he's getting eyes to the quarterback gaining depth, we get that seam. Our Jack that middle safety can still help it and play that whole seam shot there pretty easily. So this would just be a look at our sticky check that we can do on pass downs. Makes us a little bit lighter in our run box, but this is up to the coach here. For me, this is on me to make that call at the right time. Here we have 20 personnel. You can see the 2 receiver side. We're going to still continue to play that 2 read. Our Sam set strength to the 2 receiver side here because we don't have an H-back on the opposite side. Again, Jack's playing that Tampa undercut in any sort of post he sees. Mike doesn't have any pass responsibility. He's an inside-out run player. If we get back out, he can replace the Will's job. If they get in some sort of pistol set and they send 3 to the weak side here, that we have this boundary safety that can occupy that second back out. Really what this is here is we're 8 on 8 in the run box. So even though we're 3 high safety, or 3 safety defense, we're strong in the run box. This boundary safety reading uncovered line, he gets a run read, he can fit forward. If it's cloudy and runs to a side, he fits out, runs more of that alley. A triple option type look, he's going to hold it. And then if that pitch guy comes out there, he'll rally to that. Runs away from him. He's able to fall into the run box and be that cutback player on the backside. And then our middle safety's really free here running, so it works pretty well there. We can zone anything on the backside again, even though we're in this man on this backside with this corner. If this is a stud out here, we could bracket it. Again, we can zone it. We can invert the Tampa, play our boundary corner deep, and use one of these 2 here, our Will or our boundary safety as a flat player. All right, here's ace formation, so some 12 personnel stuff here. We'll stick with 2x2. I'll talk about 12 personnel 3x1 a little bit when we get into our 3x1 stuff later on. But you see here, this looks like pretty much man across the board, and it is, unless we have a trade motion. We're going to play man against everything. Now these safeties here, they see the tight end blocked down or out. They're going to be a fit player then, so it's pretty easy read for them. We do need to level this probably a little bit better than what I drew it up, to protect against the crossers. The good thing here is, we get back swing out action, running back swings out, and we've got our back out players with our outside linebackers. So that they will rally to that. So our will would go to that there. And don't forget here, we have our Mike here who's not a pass responsibility player. So our guys are kind of used to now here. This swing comes out, the will go to it. The Mike will look to replace. Now on the backside, the Sam's looking to kind of occupy the hook zone, so he kind of becomes our whole player there in the cover 1. If we lose contain on this side, quarterback sprints out, or rolls out of the pocket, he can go back to cut it off. We do lose the whole player there, but we're able to do that. Contain on pressure or contain on pass is something we talk about a lot with our tackle and our end here, so we still have the ability that if we're morphing this more into a tight front, if we're stunting in, if we read pass, even if we're B gap player versus run, we read pass, we're trying to work back out again and contain on that pass. Our jack here, the middle safety, becomes, he's used to playing that Tampa, so it just kind of morphs into a cover one type look. He's helping, typically hash to hash here. And then on the outside, again, we're man against everything. And we don't always do this against 12 personnel. This would just be, again, the day one install and how we would align to it. .21 personnel here. You can see it's pretty similar to 20 personnel. The only difference here is on this front side, we've pulled the field safety in so he can man up on the number 2 H-back tight end. We get double back out type action to this weak side here. Then our boundary safety would take, 3 out here. So we'd be 3 on these 3 if we got double back out to the same side. And obviously this split back formation isn't one where you see it a lot, but, to get in a pistol train type look, then we could adapt to that. Once this pass play is declared here, the cool thing is we have our rob player and we have our hole player, so this kind of morphs into a man under, 2 deep type look here if we get that action. Again, we can sticky anything, so we could sticky this and just play our regular Tampa 2 read to this and feel pretty safe on pass downs, but no other real crazy adaptations here. Let's talk some 3x1 here. So we got 3x1, 10 personnel. You see our 3 high safety shell here. We got our boundary safety, our jack, our middle safety, and our field safety. So really all we've done is we're still playing this 2-on-2 game on the outside, this 2 read with our field corner and our field safety. We've bumped our Sam out between 2 and 3. He's going to play his curl zone, but if 3 works out, he's got to be able to carry an out route, a flat thread, or a wheel. Our jack, that middle safety, he's the whole seam player, so he's got to relate a little bit field formation. So, we talk about starting out, head up to a step outside the tackle, and the more field we have, the more you need to widen out to relate to that number 3, because he's got to be able to guard a lot of seams in this. That's something that we've been attacked a lot in this Tampa look. They see that this middle safety is pretty aggressive to the run, so they're going to try to seam it. So he's got to be able to be a forward and a back player. He's not a lateral player. This boundary safety allows him to fit really hard into this run box if we see run. If it's pass, he's able to rob. So, we work on this. He can rob the deep if there isn't a crosser. If there's a crosser, he can attack it. By having this Tampa player, it gives him a little bit more freedom. A lot of times we're sending some sort of pressure by our will on the backside, so this boundary safety ends up cutting off any sort of crosser because our Mike isn't a pass player. He's a quarterback cutoff player. And then on the backside, we're in that man technique with our boundary corner. We do have the ability, again, to zone this. We could play, he could play a deep zone. Our boundary safety can play a flat zone. We can bracket this on the backside, be a little bit weaker in the run box. But we do have the ability to do that. The good thing here is in the run stuff, we have a lot of dudes that can get lost at safety and still be strong in the run fit. In the 11 personnel stuff, nothing really has changed too much here. We'll see our middle safety line up a little bit tighter. If we have a wide field, this allows him to really be more in the run box. This pulls the Sam more into the run box because he was pulled out of it in 10 personnel. Again, the Will's got this back out action. We've matched boxes pretty well here. So they're in the 8-man run box. We've got 8 guys to defend the 8-man run box. A lot of times in this, defending the run, our safeties get pretty lost in here. They're hard to account for these offensive linemen. And you can see here in this wide bunch, that's going to pull our Sam out wide. Same rules here, 10 personnel through by 1, nothing changes. The only thing I'd like to point out here is how this pulls our middle safety out of the run box a little bit more. So he is more of a late rally here. But, he's playing this whole seam, so don't forget, in the field, this seam's going to hit, at the widest, it's going to hit about here. So he really does have the capability to be a little bit tighter into the run box and still be able to carry this whole seam shot here. And it's really hard to account for him in the run blocking concept from this position. Now, as far as strength goes, if we get a tight end set to the backside of this trips look, really this isn't our backside anymore. We've called this our front side with our strength. We're going to call strength to the tight end over the receiver set here. So you see now the will becomes essentially what the Sam's been in our other 3x1 sets. Sam, we bumped him down to play more of a 6 technique. So we have the ability on this side. We can lock it. So if we lock it, we're going to play this boundary corner head up on number 1 with the Sam on his outside like normal. Essentially, we have a cover 1 deep safety here if we do that, but we tend to zone this. We see anything tight without a split out receiver, you'll see us zone it a lot. It allows us to get physical with our Sam. Really here, if we get a back out, most of the time we'll be able to have our corner jump that now, and it puts our boundary safety in the man action with the 1 receiver here. Yeah, empty here, really empty is not a whole lot different than defending 10 personnel. We're going to play 2 read on the outside in our base stuff here. We have our Tampa player, so really we have our Jack, this middle safety, and the Sam playing a combo type look on number 3 here. So all that's happened really is our middle safety, instead of being lined up, just cheating a step to strength, he is now going to line up over the tackle and out based on field formation. We get into, some 0-1 type personnel here when he's more of a tight end H-back. It allows our Jack to stay more in the box. So we feel really good against the empty sets of quarterback-based run game. If they want to jet this, we're strong to it. If they want to run some sort of power read game, remember we have our Mike and our Jack as our inside-out players. And then we have our force players. We get a crack, we can replace it real quick, and pretty strong to the covered sets here in our Tampa 2 read look. We'll talk about what we call our squeeze sets here. We call a squeeze set anytime we have receivers condensing in, whether it's a tight bunch or just a 2 receiver set getting tight. We have the ability to zone it. So you can see here, we've declared strength to this 2 condensed receiver side. And we're playing our 2-on-2 zone it rules. I'm essentially just playing 2 read on 1 and 2 in this condensed set. Playing that 2-on-2 game allows our Sam to be more of a back out player, to play his lock technique. Just something there with our condensed rules. And on the front side, just the same set, 2 wide receivers. Now it makes our Will our hook curl player, and we still have our Tampa player there in the middle. We feel pretty good there. This could be manipulated into essentially a 9-man run box, and we have the numbers there to match up with it. The double condensed set, we just zone it on both sides, okay, and that allows our Sam and Will to continue to be aggressive edge players here. They can peel off if they get that back out. Again, the Mike can replace on anything there, replace responsibilities, and we still have our whole runner. Empty. Kind of that same thing. Condensed set, we're going to zone it on both sides. Because it's a trip set on this side, we'll cheat that middle safety, our Jack, out. Again, Sam trips rules, he's got to take 3 out and up. Here, a 12 personnel set. So now what we've done is we're playing man on the outside. We're zoning it on the inside with our middle safety and our free safety. So they're playing the 2-on-2 game, the 2 read game with number 3 and number 2. We have our Sam and Will. They're able to be force back out players. And then here we see a 13 personnel grouping where we've zoned it on both sides here. Really here I just have Willis as force because we got our 2-on-1 here. So if that back swings out, our boundary corner here, he can attack it and trap it, and then allow our boundary safety to play man on that number 1. The front side here, the three receiver side is just the same as our 12 personnel. 13 personnel, 2x2, went ahead and put this in here too. Again, just zoning it. Got our outside linebackers able to take that back out. We've locked the back side. And again, we have the capability here. If we want to, we could center up maybe this middle safety a little bit more and do some different zone games with our boundary corner and our boundary safety. Some 3-back set type stuff here. We've seen this particularly in the playoffs. These last few years, we've ran into these type sets. So you see here, this kind of becomes that cover 1 type look. If it's a pass out of this, typically most teams that do this are going to run some form of ISO against us. We feel pretty good against the ISO by getting 9-on-9 in the box, running those inside-out clears, and then our safeties kind of fit right on the outside of an ISO type block. You can see here in the 31 personnel, they bring a tight end, how that turns into a zone it situation with our field corner and our field safety. If we do get three to one side, we still have the ability to play the back out with our Sam and our Will. Again, here we're getting head up with this tight end, trying to be physical with him. On the backside, here our boundary safety, he is playing man here, but it's real easy. If we get the insertion for some sort of ISO action, he's able to fit hard and outside of it. Mike can fit hard inside of it. And then we have our jack typically running pretty free versus that. And the 32 personnel, which we don't really see out of this very much, but our zone it rules would apply here. We still have our force to back out with our Sam and our Will, so if we get a swing type look, they can jump that quickly. And we essentially treat our saddleback set here, these two guys, like they are the second receiver. So corners, if we get some sort of swing type action, they can jump it real quickly. But we are going to play zone on this, so this can quickly adapt to man. All right, and finally defending some of the old school stuff. So I start with kind of a rule breaker here, and this one's a weird one. We've actually seen a decent amount of wishbone, at least 3 out of these last 4 years. What we'll do here is we'll hit a stack check with our Sam and our Will. We'll place our Mike on that dive action, so he's no longer a guard-to-guard player. He's going to be hard on the dive. Remember, we still have our jack on the middle safety on the guard read, so it kind of protects us from counter type actions. We'll flip-flop our quarters and our safeties here. They get used to playing a lot of inverted cover 2 stuff as the year goes on, and that different Tampa stuff we do. So here we're going to swap that, and that's solely because of the body type that we have here. We feel more comfortable with these guys setting an edge than we do our corner types. And then again, that jack's the inside-out triangle. So really, it's essentially Tampa 2. We feel pretty good in our run box there. The one thing that if this guy's not a super aggressive guy, if your corners aren't running that alley strong, it makes you a little susceptible to the toss sweep. But we feel like we've had pretty good success doing that these past few years. The Pro Eye set here, the Pro Eye is pretty much, same 21 personnel gun type stuff. So no real changes here. ISO is a threat always when you run this 3 safety defense. That's what we've seen a lot of recently. So you have to have safeties that are willing to fit. Your Mike and Jack are those inside-out runners. The safety's got to fit outside of it. And a lot of times that Jack, again, is coming unblocked, so he's able to attack that with ease. Flexbone, some just base option responsibility stuff here. You can see how we're aligned. Okay. Inside-out triangle. Mike's going to attack that dive hard. Jack's going to be dive to quarterback if it's clear. He's sticking on that dive. If it's cloudy, he's going to work next level to quarterback in the option. Our outside linebackers are our quarterback players. But, if Jack ends up on your side and takes care of that, you can rally to the pitch. It's got to happen pretty quick. Once we get that arc motion type look, our safety ends up being that pitch player. Again, really this ends up looking a lot like some of our zone it stuff we had earlier. Again, we get that arc motion. Our middle safety is going to bump over. This field safety is going to bump down. And our Sam's going to auto pressure. It ends up fitting pretty well. Again, Mike dive, Jack dive to quarterback. Sam's hard to quarterback here on this auto pressure, trying to force the quick pitch. And if we can force the quick pitch here, it's pretty easy for us to rally to it. Sometimes we force that pitch quick enough where our Jack is, coming forward hard as a fitter, thinking it's cloudy, thinking he's got to get quarterback, and then that pitch happens so quick that we're pretty good to that pitch. Again, a lot of times they'll release this guy to block him, but with this hard force, it happens so quick. A lot of times we're able to break through and rally to it quickly. Single wing, this would be kind of like a 13 personnel type set for us. With the tackle over type set. We talk about, whenever we get, 4 strong, a lot of times we'll overload our front, we'll bump it. This would be one where we would bump it. Our Sam, we don't want this guy head up on this tackle over with our Sam snug to that. So a lot of times we'll bump him, play him on the inside, but we're just going to zone it here. Okay, so base rules, we feel like we're matching the run box fairly well. They've got 10, we've got 10 in the run box, zoning it on the backside. Okay, old school wing tee type stuff, same thing. We're going to zone it just like our normal rules. Nothing else really changes. Let our normal rules apply, get our normal reads, and be aggressive to it. And, I would tell you we haven't really seen much of this stuff, in recent years with the modern football game. But some teams will throw these out and some package type stuff against us. So we have to be ready to guard it with our base rules.